8:29, live and local, the wake-up call. So
That's us.
It was a school bus left in the forest here locally for over 20 years. Our next guest found it, and this is a story of his and the 1948 Ford F5 bus, which, by the way, you can see photos on our Facebook page. If you check it out, you can see what he found and the current state of what it looks like after he did his number on it. Jason Kellogg with 2 G's joining us on the wake-up call. Jason, welcome in.
Good morning.
So out of curiosity, by trade, what do you do?
I just do a little of everything, but, my hobby is working on classic cars, and that's how this whole story has come about.
Yeah. So you found this bus, or how did you find it in its former state?
Well, the way I found it is I live up in Fall Creek and rent some property, and deep in the forest in the back of that property is where that bus has sat for 25 years or more. My landlord and neighbors had mentioned to us if we saw the bus that was in the forest, and me and my wife went for a walk out there and found it, and as soon as I saw it, fell in love with it.
And then checked it out to see if you could haul it out. What kind of effort was it to get it out of where it had been for 25 years?
Well, it was quite an effort, and I've documented the whole thing on my YouTube channel, Country Boy Gas Garage. That's me on YouTube, and they can watch the whole process. The way I guess it was parked there, running and in good shape 25 years ago, but sitting there for that long, the forest grew up around it. A bunch of rats moved into it, and it was in pretty rough shape when I found it. And it took quite the effort to get it running. The motor was frozen stuck. All the wiring's been chewed through, but I was able to get it running in the spot that it sat.
Wow.
And was able to drive it out of the forest under its own power. And got it back home, cleaned it up, and was amazed at how well it has been preserved over the years. The paint and everything was still in good condition. And that's when, it's an old church bus. Stafford Baptist Church up in Wilsonville, and they had, I guess, a small fleet of buses in the 60s, and this was one of them, and it never got painted, and it still has their signage on the side of the bus, and so the church reached out and contacted me, and now we're in contact with the church, which is really exciting. This bus is
hang on before you get to
time.
Hold on one sec, Jason.
Well, okay. So do they still, even though they abandoned it sounds like, in the forest, do they still own it? And if it's yours, how were you able to get ownership of it, considering it was just sitting there? Yeah,
I guess what they've come to figure out is that the church sold their buses in the 60s or 70s, or probably in the 70s or early 80s. They sold their buses. And the gentleman I bought the bus from, so they sold the bus probably in the late 70s to somebody that drove it to this location and parked it, and then it sat. And I was able to get in contact with that owner and purchase it from him with the title. And now the church has discovered that it still exists.
And do they want it back?
No, the first thing he says is their interest is in not trying to get it back. They just want to celebrate the fact that it still exists. There is an 87-year-old woman named Mary that's a member of the church that says she remembers riding that bus to church, to Bible school as a child. So
that is so cool.
My next goal now is to get the bus back on the road and drive it back to the church for a reunion trip to meet up with them. They want to have a big barbecue and celebration, and I'm hoping to get to sit with Mary and hear her story.
Like I said, if you want to see photos of it, if you go to our Facebook page, Wake Up Call 1120, you can check out both what it used to look like and what it looks like today. So how long and what did you put into it as far as monetary stuff?
Well, this whole venture started 1 year ago this month is when I first found it and started the YouTube channel around it. And it's been a long process, but, I've got a family and I work and stuff, so I can't really dedicate full time to it. So it's just whenever I get an opportunity, but it's come a long ways.
I'm still kind of stuck on the whole idea that you were able to drive it out after 20 plus years.
Yeah, it was, I got that. It's all documented on my YouTube channels. I had to get the motor. First of all, the motor had a rat's nest, and there's rats living on the motor. So I had to clean all that rat's nest out of there. And then the motor was frozen solid, and it took me a little bit to get it to rotate again. And then I was able to get it started. That was pretty amazing. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen, but it did start. And then from there, I had to get the clutch unstuck and the brake drums unfrozen and get it to where it would drive. And I had to do this all on the forest floor out there in the forest, so it wasn't that easy. But eventually, it was able to run and drive. I had to cut down a few trees and make a path because, of course, the forest has grown up around it over the last 25 years, and was able to drive it out of there.
And Stafford Christian Church, which I'm looking at a photo out there in Wilsonville with Pastor Jeff Hart. I'm so happy for you that they embraced the whole idea and are having a celebration around it, because I know of a similar story where the person called the old organization, the old entity, and told them, hey, I put some work into it and I have this thing to show you. And they were like, oh, great, yeah. And it was kind of a ho-hum and kind of a wah-wah for him. But these guys, they're throwing a celebration, a barbecue around this bus, and you'll be kind of like the celebrity up there.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm hoping to document all that on my YouTube channel as well. Yeah, they're very excited too. So I was glad. That was my concern too, that maybe that they didn't care about it or anything, but they were excited about it. And I'm seeing if they're looking through their documents and trying to find some old photos or anything like that too. That'd be cool to find an old photo of the bus in front of the church or something like that. That church, Stafford Baptist Church, also goes by Stafford Christian Church now.
Stafford
they're
Christian,
a 125-year-old Christian church, one of the oldest on the West Coast. So they've got a lot of history.
Very cool. And then what are you planning? Are you going to keep the bus, or what are you planning on doing with it?
Yeah, that's the plan. Me and my wife wanted to get it running and driving and be able to take it places, everywhere from, a local car cruise to maybe a camping trip at a, national forest or national park or something. We want to get it back on the road and bring life back into it. But where it ends up in the far future, we're not sure yet.
Are you going to make it kind of like the ultimate camping mobile?
Yeah, a lot of people have suggested that, so, that's definitely a possibility.
Awesome. Well, what do we miss of the story? Because it's a pretty cool story, and good on you for going to work. You got a lot done in that year, even though you said you weren't able to devote 100% of your time, because it's beautiful. Yeah,
I give a lot of the credit to the bus for just preserving itself for that long. It's pretty, when you see how it was when I found it with the ferns and the moss and everything growing on it, it looked like it was part of nature again. And then when I was able to get it home and wash all that off, it was surprisingly how much that just, slid right off and washed off, and the paint and everything was still fairly great condition underneath.
Jason Kellogg, I don't know about you, but I'm sensing a reality TV show in the future for you. It starts with a YouTube channel, and then all of a sudden you're on Discovery or one of those Lifetime networks. And
hey, let's do it.
Well, Jason, thanks for sharing the story. Again, we're going to go ahead and give a plug for your YouTube channel again.
Yes, I am Country Boy Gas Garage on YouTube. Just go on YouTube, search Country Boy Gas Garage, and find my channel. And then you could watch the whole bus series. I've got it numeral, 1 through 15, I think now, videos.
Wow.
And get caught up to where we're at, and then follow the story as we go from here.
What's your current project right now?
The bus. I'm still focused
the bus?
on the bus.
Okay, yeah, very cool. Well, have fun up there at Stafford Christian Church in Wilsonville, and thanks for sharing your story.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, appreciate that. Jason Kellogg, again with 2 G's at 8:39 KPN.